Hey, welcome to The Link. The Link is a podcast created to build community through conversation. We focus on the stories of creatives, business owners, community leaders, and all-around interesting people from the community of Lincoln, Nebraska. We welcome you to come learn about your neighbors as we have a conversation with them.
Welcome to the Link podcast. I am Stephen Carlson.
And I'm Andy Morrison.
And today on the podcast we have Ryan and Matt from Levrack.
The Shelf Guys.
They have created an insanely awesome storage system for the automotive industry, for woodworkers, for who knows the endless possibilities. Baseball teams.
Just
they talk about
anything.
Figuring out how to store gum and sunflower seeds. And they go into all of the crazy stories where this has kind of like taken them all the way from California to Saudi Arabia. They spent 6 days in the desert selling their
expo that sounds like a weird fever dream.
It sounds very Fyre Fest like.
But it's super interesting. It's just really insane to see that these guys from Nebraska have done something so unique and so big.
Yeah, it's just kind of blown up, being on national TV and just kind of going crazy. It seems like they just kind of said yes a lot and just
did it.
It happened.
Didn't hesitate and just sent it. I raised my eyebrows when I said sent it.
Yes. So, we hope you enjoy this episode. This episode is brought to you by Carlson Projects.
All the episodes are. What are you kidding?
Well, cool. Well, welcome to the Link podcast. I'm Stephen Carlson.
And I'm Andy Morrison.
And we are here with
Ryan Stoffer from Levrack.
Matt Boyds
from Levrack. Yeah. And basically they've created an ingenious storage system to transform your garage and your house to all the way up to your mechanic shops and what my favorite is Porsche restoration shops. Yeah. Give us kind of a start of where it came from, because I feel like that's not something you start out like, I'm gonna build a sweet storage system.
Yeah, it's like the least like sexy thing you could come up with is shelving, right? So in 2015, my co-founder AJ, who's not here, but him and I decided like, hey, we just built a new shop actually on our farm. We just moved into a new space, and we kind of storage was a key component of what we needed. And so we were like, hey, we love that idea of the mobile aisle. We see it in the like record storage, or, like even today, like in the football locker rooms where they have like, it's all automated or crank with the track in the floor. We're like, that's what we need, but we need it for like a consumer. So we spent a lot of time just researching and trying to find if that stuff was available. It wasn't available to the consumer at a reasonable price. So we worked through that. He actually was an engineer kind of at a company here in Lincoln that did a lot of stuff for the military. And so he was doing some like cool stuff. So we had the ability to render stuff really quickly. And so we had a prototype basically built in like 6 weeks right off the bat, and built like all the way to being done. And it really hasn't changed.
That's amazing. So you just were like
crazy.
Sitting around, you're like, we need a better storage system. Can you render something, and then we'll just go from there.
And we knew we wanted a mobile aisle, but we knew we didn't want.
Explain what that means to somebody visually.
So it's basically just a compact storage solution. So if you have shelves, like if you imagine a wall and like a bunch of bookshelves down a wall, or a bunch of shelving, and you turn those shelves to face you, looking at them directly, then you just condense so if you have a 4-foot shelf, you turn it towards you. Now you're 4 foot away from the wall, but you freed up your wall space.
I see.
So, our thing, like on a 12-foot unit, which was our first unit we ever did, it was 24 foot of shelving in a 12-foot span.
I see.
Which it felt like we were like in the Wild West, like selling like elixirs, It was like, that's what I felt like. Yeah. There's 24 foot of shelving in this 12-foot piece of steel, And so it was kind of funky that way, but we that was kind of the concept. And we'd priced that same concept with some companies that do that with like a more complicated systems. It was like $10,000 to $15,000, and they wanted to send an engineer and they want to do all this stuff. So we're like, there's a market, there's a need for this. So ours was just super simple. Actually, we had a couple beers. We were sitting around. We had pallet rack shelving in our shed and in our shop, and we're like, this is the mechanism that we're going to use to kind of be the framework for this whole system. And so it just kind of evolved from there. So then it became like an adaptable piece that you could actually add into your pallet rack, and that, you know, so it's one of those things that just kind of comes together as a freaky thing.
So where did you always want it to be a business, or was it just like, I'm making this for us to use, and then it was like, oh man, this is like, a lot of people could use it, or was it did somebody come to you and was like?
So we had this is kind of really interesting. That wasn't the intent, I don't think, to ever like have a. I mean, it was obviously to monetize it was kind of that'd be cool.
Yeah,
that's kind of what we thought. But
cool to get paid to create a weird shelf for my own.
Exactly. So we were kind of we rolled with that a little bit, and you know, eventually being on the farm, we had a lot of people in and out as we were kind of developing this over the winter because it's super slow. And that's my background is in agriculture, and so but you have like guys that work in shops or at like machinery dealerships or whatever, and the concept was like quickly proven. Like it was like, that makes sense, we could use that. So we had a ton of people, seed and chemical reps, just people that could say like, I could use that. So we right off the bat we could see like demand for what we were doing, and then it was just like researching how we didn't just accidentally rip. Usually when you have an idea, like you get on, like and that's literally our story.
There's nothing new under the sun. You're like,
that's the thought. We're like, this is out there. And that's what was wild about it, is it really wasn't. I mean, there were some concepts that were similar, but not like marketed to the consumer to use for the purposes that we thought that it could be used for.
And what were you doing before this? Was it like just farming and then?
Yeah. So I went to school I have a business degree, but it was I came back to the farm. We have a decent sized farming operation, and it was kind of easy. I sold crop insurance, I did different things, but I loved like it's kind of sad. My biggest like attraction, I think, to the farm was the fact that you didn't have to do a whole lot between like November and April. So I was like, you know, I spent time in Mexico, like I did. I was like trying to surf, trying to do stuff. So I like that freedom. I think, especially as a single person, it was easy to. That was how I justified. You know?
Yep.
But I love, like, my dad is forward thinking and progressive, and so it's not like, I like to think that we're cool farmers. You know, we're not like we're not we
even
don't
like looking at you, I'm like, I wouldn't have guessed.
That's my goal all the time. So no, it is. It's like it's just interesting. I love the lifestyle. I think it's really fun. I mean, we do a lot of fun stuff, but just the openness that we had to develop a business within our farming operation, like the one that we have, I think speaks a lot to like what we're able to do. So I think that freedom and that ability to have ideas even had kind of gave us the freedom to spawn this idea. So that's kind of my background.
And where has it gone from here now? Because I mean, I've seen you on so many different things. Was that like the plan from the beginning? Was like, we're gonna try and get a bunch of more like social media type influencers to get our product out, or was it like, let's just hit all the farm shows and get as many farmers in the door? Or
so it was a mixture of that. Like, we had the farm influence, and so but I knew, I mean, just knowing the farm economy and just we're in it every day. So I was like, this isn't going to explode to a business that can sustain us in agriculture. It doesn't make sense. But at the same time, we're like, we always looked at brands that kind of highlighted the people using, like one of our really first ideas, and from a marketing standpoint, like, let's highlight the people that can use our product and let's build around that. So it was like, let's go find like the coolest people that still build cool stuff, like the makers of the world. And let's see if they have space problems, and let's show them our product, and then let's
every single one of them had a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we've found, and that's how we've been able to grow. Our reach is still pretty small for, you know, what we've been able to do and where we've been able to get our product is great, but our reach is still, it feels small. But the cool thing for me personally is the selfish, like, fun piece of it is like to go get like Rod Emery, like to be able to like have a reason to talk to one of those guys and say, hey, I mean, like, what do you think of this? The first one we ever did was Icon 4x4 in Los Angeles, and
you're just like DMing these people?
Yeah. So I mean, that's it. And
I've got these shelves there.
Exactly. And not expecting anything back. I mean, that was our, like, the minute we had a decent looking product, and we still suck at marketing. Like, we really don't I mean, we're okay. Right. But it's like
he runs the marketing.
we don't spend anything. You know what I mean? We don't spend a lot on it. But we've developed some really interesting relationships by literally messaging those types of influencers.
And was that like I'm just going to start DMing people, like, because it was just you two at that point, right?
Yeah, it was just me and AJ.
And then so when orders started coming in, were you like, oh no, like, how are we going to get this equipment to somebody?
Absolutely.
Is that where you came in then?
Pretty much, right?
And you guys had already established a pretty solid foundation. So by no means did I kind of come in, but I do think it's a testament to the relationships that you've developed in that exact process early on. Like the relentless focus on who do you want to appeal to and what does that brand look like to reflect the product, I think is pretty, I mean, that's the foundation that it sets on.
And it's only how old?
Our first sale was in September of 2016. Our first sale, and it was slow. I mean, we had 2 people ready to hire our third to like run the warehouse, and we were building like our first like 30 units, which was like, we never thought we would sell 30. Like, we were welding the stuff. We bought an iron worker, like, we were welding it and like punching holes and stuff. Like, it looked like a farmer built it. Like, that's the sad thing. And people were buying them. I mean, we launched at a farm show in Grand Island, and had decent success. But like, when you look back at it, you're just like, that just looks awful. But essentially our product is still the same thing. It's just refined a little bit, and so we've outsourced our manufacturing to Wisconsin. Most of it's built in Wisconsin, and then here in Nebraska still. And then we bring it all together at our warehouse and ship it out from there. So it's that's kind of the evolution of the manufacturing piece. But that was the biggest thing, is figuring out how you can meet those orders. And so we've as those DMs and as those messages, we had a really pretty high success rate on a lot of people. The first like big one we did was John Malecki, who's a woodworker out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I've seen his stuff. Yeah, he does some crazy stuff. And
I mean, the YouTube world and that stuff is still pretty wild to us too. It's like, how do you? It's crazy. And so we have 2 like. We kind of tried to highlight like woodworking, which was kind of the natural. Now all of a sudden, like, we don't have a ton of followers still, but I would say like a good quarter of them are woodworkers.
Yeah.
And so, which is cool.
Because they had that cult. He has that cult
right
following.
Away. He does.
Yeah.
He does. And then we had a post building builder in Iowa or in Illinois, our building. He has a huge following.
Yeah, I follow him too. He's sweet stuff.
And puts just cool stuff out on simple stuff. Makes sense. And so those 2 guys, I mean, their following alone probably still keeps us in business. Like, it's wild.
Yeah.
And then I always had an affinity for like car culture and automotive stuff, and like that is just, so it's like I said with Icon, it's given us the ability, that first one, to be like, hey, what do you guys think of this? And they're like, oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
And so we can easily, it's our best, we give them things away kind of like sweet and low packets, I say sometimes, because it's like, I told Matt, I'm like, hey, we just gave another one away to this guy. He's like, who's that? I was like, wow, he's got a decent amount of followers, so just ship it. You know?
Just give it to him.
It'll work. Don't ask questions.
Don't ask anymore.
Yeah, but
it's the best way. I mean, it's the best way that we found to market.
Yeah, get the product in somebody's hands, and then they'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think has been like? I mean, you kind of like talked about it already, where you like the farm thing, kind of a little bit of entrepreneurial spirit. But do you think that came from like, hey, because it's obviously started. I guess I would see a lot of people have the idea, build it for themselves, and not really follow through with it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think drove you to kind of keep going with it rather than just, hey, I'm going to sell 4 of these a year, I'm going to farm, and then I'm going to go surf in Mexico for a couple months.
I'd rather do that someday. I think that like the idea when we actually put it on paper and had the product in front of us was like, wow, this is bigger than like kind of what we ever imagined. Like it's just, and we talk about it all the time. Like it's just been like it's been like kind of it feels like a blessed project the entire time. Just the people that we've like, the timing and the people and the influencers and all that stuff just feels like, and having Matt be able to come on board at a time that he was free, everything that we do up to a certain point just felt like we're supposed to continue to do this. Like every time we hit a wall where we're like, nah, we could just let this die. Yeah. Like another door open and we're like, nope, can't let it go. So, because it was super easy. I mean, we had AJ and again, wish he was here to talk about it, but he had been laid off essentially and then started a new job and then quit it like a week into it because he hated it. And he basically came out this time of year 4 years ago and was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I was like, well, let's talk about the storage thing that we've thought about. And at that point it was just like it was a storage thing that we've talked about. It was nothing, had no merit, had nothing. So that, I mean, just the whole way that it's gone, we could have left it die a lot of times where we were just like, well, let's keep going. And my dad he's big at like just saying, like he was always like the guy that shoots super high. So we'd be like, wow, we could maybe sell 100 of these things maybe eventually one time. And he'd be like, no, every house in America is going to have these. Like, no, like probably not. But
sounds like a supportive dad.
Yeah, he was like he still is. Like his like drive to that still, it never failed. Like we could go sell 1,000 in a year and he'd be like, yeah, next year we'll sell 10,000. You know, and so it's just kind of a.
Did you have like a spot in his shop carved out for it at first?
Yeah, when we had it. Yeah, the original one is still in there.
Was there a point where he was like, all right, you need to get your own space? Like, you're getting in my way.
Oh, when we took everybody that worked, we had like 3 full-time guys on the farm then, and every one of them that winter was like doing stuff for this. Like we were all building stuff. And like, eventually it was like, okay, come on, turn this into something or let's go. But it's been cool that way.
What do you think about, like, since this is like directly correlated to Lincoln and we're trying to like dig into that, what do you think, like either Midwest roots or like Lincoln roots, like what do you think helped kind of propel it to actually be something in the Midwest? Like rather than like, I could easily see, be like, all right, we're going to outsource to China and we're just going to direct ship everything straight to the customer and it's going to be 10 times cheaper and we're just not going to care about it. Like, what do you think about the Midwest, or I guess you guys are by Seward. Like, what do you think about it made you want to keep it here and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think kind of to that point, I think it's just the product in itself. We always wanted it to be like an American built or Nebraska built product. Like we're proud. I don't know, something about being from Lincoln, being from Nebraska. You're proud of like
corn born.
Yeah, you want like I love stuff that's built in Nebraska. You know, it's like we talk about Kool-Aid like it's like the best thing ever. You know, it's like you hold on to that stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, in our mind, it's like let's keep it as close to home as we can. We've had to we've had to outsource.
I'm sure it's not
unfortunately,
easy.
to Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not easy.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's hard. And we worked with some companies in Lincoln. We've tried. At the end of the day, it's like it is a margin thing. We've talked about moving stuff to overseas, but logistically in our product, it just doesn't make a ton of sense.
Yep.
And so,
what do you think about Lincoln or about the Midwest? Like, helped you start? Like, do you think it was people like automatically like buying into your product that you maybe wouldn't have got somewhere else?
Yeah, I think Nebraska and this part of the world specifically is just more open to like supporting things that happen, taking ownership, and even if it's not theirs. We've had a ton of people that just like the minute that they saw us, they were our immediate advocates, for our product, which I don't think happens everywhere.
No. So
I think, that's really cool to see people say like, oh yeah, we still, and even if they don't buy something, they wear a hat around or they like, so that right there just gives you that piece to say like, that's cool. And we want to identify with that. And, so I think that's the biggest piece, is just the openness and the willingness to like support us and support our business.
I'd say the flip side too, and talk about like pride of state. I'm originally from Texas. So when we talk about like prideful states, Texas is likely one of the most. And I hope I'm not a typical Texan, but
come on,
you are right now by bringing it up.
One of the most.
No, I'm just kidding.
The most.
No, I think another contributor to that though is you kind of talk through kind of the origin story of how you got the word out, and that big piece of coming from the outside in and being more kind of intimately involved, one to see you and your dad interact on the farm side, and then also what that's done to the Levrack side. A lot of that is also the value of relationships and people as equally as they do, given those like Midwest roots to a Nebraska-born product. I think that Nebraska-born product and those people that bore that product are also seeing that the value of those relationships to the end customers or people who might be impacted by it. So I think that's a big piece too, that it's kind of that natural flow of specifically to the Midwest. And I spent some time in Kansas as well, but there's just that like core fundamental value of relationships are super important, which I think has been a huge factor as well.
Well, I mean, I think that speaks to itself when you're talking about like DMing people. I mean, that's really, as big of Instagram people as they are, like that's still a pretty intimate thing. Like to get to somebody to actually respond to that and like want to have your product is still a pretty, it's still a pretty crazy thing. Yep. What's like, give me the highlight reel, and then I want to hear about Saudi Arabia. Give me like what's like the coolest things you've been able to experience by just being able to create a business, and then I want to talk about the dust storm. Yeah.
So I would say like the platform that it's a lot of me personally and selfishly, like I said before, like to have access to people that I think are really cool, specifically in the automotive industry, but it's been more than that. I mean, we've been able to work with, like I said, Icon was the first one that was really, really cool. And then
what was he like to work with?
Jonathan Ward.
Yeah.
Super smart guy.
And every like podcast I listen to with him, I'm like, this dude just thinks differently than any other human I've met.
The first car I ever bought too was a FJ Cruiser, like the new FJ in 2007. Yep. And I didn't buy it new, but talking to him, like, he was like the brain behind it. And so like just blew my mind on that stuff. And then I was emailing it. He'd respond to my emails like, hey Jonathan, how are things going? He's like, I'm in Detroit working with Ford on a project. And I'm like, oh, probably the new Bronco? Like what? And like not, and I didn't say that, but I wanted to be like, what do you work? Well, can I see some renderings? But it's just, it's that part is just so just kind of really, really cool. And the coolest part is like that automotive world, once we kind of started to tap into it, it's so small at the top. Yeah. Everybody knows each other. And so we've been able to, so like the garage rehab thing has been the highlight of our entire, at least for me, to get us on a TV show early on Discovery Channel was like the biggest thing. It came from a DM. Garage Rehab that hadn't aired yet, and their secondary host, their co-host, I just randomly seen on Facebook. He's like, yeah, check out this new show with me and Richard Rollins. I'm Russell Holmes, and I just messaged him, hey, and their first like blurb was, you know, the biggest problem with garages today is efficiency. Like they have no space, everything's a mess, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, we just need to.
This is it. This is the chance.
But I responded directly to that video that he posted. I was like, man, check out our product. Let me know if we can help you guys at all in your shows. And he immediately, Russell, again, their show hadn't even aired yet, so they hadn't had any feedback or anything.
Yeah.
There was just like promos. And he's like, yeah, let me know. Or he's like, hey, love it. Send me his phone number and just said, call me. So I called him right away. He's like, I love it. Let's get you on the show. And this was in August. They said we're starting to film in December. So AJ and I drove. So we're like, okay. And we're like, tell us what you want. How does this work? So we go through the whole contract process with, we gave product away to every episode and traveled from, the first one we drove to Huntington Beach, California in December.
Jeez.
We're like,
that's a trek.
It was a little bit of a drive.
And probably truck and trailer.
I mean, we brought it all. We were just, you know, we drove all the way to Huntington Beach, set it up, and we're just like, and when we opened the trailer, it just looks like a bomb went off in there. We hadn't looked at it since we got, but they were probably like, who the hell are these people? It was just the two of us. And we had it as so we like, and it was 2 units jammed in this trailer. So we like pulled it all out, and luckily by the time we got it all out, they were still pretty impressed. But it was just one of those things.
So Discovery Channel. So like, the co-host had that much like.
Right away.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and put us on every 9 episodes that we waited an entire year to air. So they went through things where they're like, oh, it could be canceled. I mean, we put
thousands of
dollars, thousands of miles. We drove to Key West, Florida, with our van, and a couple. I mean, we did some really stupid stuff, but it all aired, and I think it was all worth it. I mean, our January, February, March, we still, you know, are seeing like people like saw it on Garage Rehab, we saw it on, which TV is its own deal. I think, you know, the YouTube influencers are almost just as big. You're getting just as much audience, but just your access to those guys. So it's been him. I would say that's been our ultimate highlight, is being on Discovery Channel for 10 to 50 seconds every week for like 8 consecutive weeks was cool. And just to watch our web traffic, you know, that was cool. And then lately just like the more like I feel like there's that, and there's like the solid relationships that we have with people like Rod Emery.
That guy's a machine.
I mean, it is like, me and Matt were out there in August, and Rod wasn't there, but his main dude that runs the place was there. And what was his name? Do you remember? Chris Greenwood, I think. Chris. Yeah. And Chris is kind of like the head mechanic, and he like walked us through. And just the cool thing with him was we gave them, you know, we sent them product and like, hey, we want you to be an ambassador, we want you to use it. And Rod saw the need and the benefit right away. He placed an order like a day after he got his first one.
Wow.
So that was like, he's my all-time favorite ambassador.
Yeah.
One, because I love his stuff, but it's just like that's what we love to highlight, and we've been working hard on marketing. When we go back to that, it's just like highlighting those like really, really cool, good craftsmanship people that just do good stuff, like really, really high quality stuff.
Yeah. And
helping those guys, because if we can help them, then it's valuable. So that's kind of he's one of our highlight.
Have you seen his stuff? Rod Emery stuff?
I haven't.
He restores and builds Porsche 356s.
356s, that's it.
Yeah. And you're like Emery outlaws them. So he puts a bunch of horsepower in them, and they're amazing.
They're so cool.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out to Rod. Rod, if you hear this, you're the best. Yeah. I mean, he like the stuff they do. And I think they're only putting out like, I think if you sign up now, if you pay up front and sign up now, I think you're like at a 2.5 year wait.
Yeah.
But it's like, a couple hundred.
And it's like every single bit of the car is handmade, though.
100%.
Like, it's...
When we were in there, he was building this guy that he built it for was like a stainless steel guy. It was, everything he did was it no, it wasn't stainless.
Mm-mm.
It was I don't know, some steel.
Aluminum, titanium.
Titanium. He was building the titanium. You probably saw the one. It's a titanium roof rack on this 356 that he did. Weighs like you can pick it up with your finger.
Jeez,
and
that's insane.
Like it's for his bike. He's a cyclist, and so he's got his bikes on that. So
that's so awesome.
Yeah, I mean the stuff he does.
The most functional, like, and most beautiful pieces of art that you could you can have,
and just shells, 356 shells.
Yeah,
just everywhere.
And so that kind of stuff's fun. Like we made it a point to like visit customers. So like on the West Coast, we had them. We had Ralph Holquin, who's like he's got like a hot rod shop out there, RMD Garage, who's been really cool to us. And then a golf course that uses our stuff in like the maintenance area. Like one of the top 3 golf courses in LA that we just drove our rental car out on the golf course out to the maintenance shop. Yeah. And like he showed us this stuff. It was so cool. And then a winery, like a wine cellar. They store all their labels.
That would make sense.
So all in one, in like 2 days, we got to see, we went out and visited those 3. So that's what's cool to us. I mean, that's what's fun and keeps us going.
Did you get any surfing in between?
No.
No.
No, that was too. We wanted to, but we didn't get any.
It's a bummer. So when I first messaged you, I was like, "Hey, you want to be on the podcast?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's a little busy right now. We're going to Saudi Arabia."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, we should wait till you come back because I want to actually hear what happened in Saudi Arabia. So how did that connection happen? Because that's a long way from Seward, Nebraska to there. How did that connection happen? Was that like a DM? Was that a friend of a friend? Or
it was kind of a friend of it. So another friend that we work with in Dallas, his name is Chris Smith. He works with Dennis Collins and Richard Rollins and those guys, and they were putting together and kind of had an opportunity to put together this like it's like a global auto salon. I think it was the official name of it, Matt, but it was like they wanted to put essentially like a SEMA, like an aftermarket tool, like aftermarket auto parts and like anything automotive related that's relevant now. They wanted to put on in Saudi Arabia. So the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia like commissioned this whole thing to be done.
Wow.
And then
they wanted your guys' stuff.
So yeah,
that's crazy.
So we said, so Chris is like, he goes, "Hey, I think you guys should turn in your thing, and I know your product, it would be good there." So we sent it in, and the director of the thing is like, we're like, does it make sense for us to go? Does it even? He's like, "Yeah, I think it'd be great." So it was all expenses paid. Shipped our stuff over there, did all the thing.
Like a shipping container, or like how did
we shipped 2 units over there in a crate? And the whole time, I mean, me and Matt, like the day before we left, like, "Oh, should we not even go?" We just it was a really cool opportunity. Essentially, like they thought like it had a ton of hype build up to it. Like all these guys were gonna sell. I don't know do you guys know Dave Hall from Restore Muscle Car here in town?
Yeah, I don't know him. I know of Restore Muscle Car though. Yeah.
But they sent 6 cars over there. So like a 5,000 mile Bandit Trans Am with it has more miles now in transit from Saudi Arabia to Lincoln than it does on the odometer. That no-sailed like 6 other cars that he brought that didn't sell. I think he sold one. I think he got an offer late, but just they had such high reserves, and they thought that these princes and sheikhs and all this stuff were going to spend all this money, and it didn't happen.
Oh, man.
We sold our first 2 units though in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. So we have 2 units in Saudi.
So you sold the ones that you shipped over there. Yeah. You were like, "I'm not shipping these back."
Yeah. And listen to this, like full circle of like the whole idea. Like the guy that bought them walks up to our booth and he's like, I know these things. I've been looking for these. I figured you'd be here," he said. And we're like, "What? What is going on?"
I figured you'd be here.
And he says like his like job, like his business, he owns a business, is like rehabbing garages. So like, or shops, body shops, like
this guy bought both of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bought them both. And he's like his job over there, that's what he does. He goes in and he's a contractor, and he just says, like, he specifically for automotive businesses. And so he's got like a contract with Benpack lifts and Kaiser air compressors and now Levrack.
So he's like a salesperson.
Well, he will
then.
be. I mean, I think his plan is to resell what we, sold him. But because we were like, we don't want to take these home.
But you sold them.
We sold.
We didn't give
them. We didn't give
them
them away. We sold.
It'll be clear
Yes.
there.
Gotta be clear.
The operations guy says, yes, we sold. We do sell
One of
these
the things
things.
that I came to mind, I was like,
Yeah.
I sold them for that. He's like, you sold them for how much? I was like, we sold them for this much.
You sold them.
We sold them. That's all that matters.
Yes.
And so it's just cool to see, like, he knew what our, again, coming from Seward, Nebraska, we traveled 8,000 miles to Saudi Arabia, and we come across a guy that's like, hey, I know what this is, and I want it. I want it, and we need it. And so that's like the coolest part. Again, Saudi Arabia, I would not necessarily make that the first like place that you go when you decide to travel. But I think, and the crazy thing is, like, they just started issuing travel visas to United States citizens like in September.
Yeah.
So we were probably the first, like, I don't know that there's
one of the first
5,000 or a couple thousand people before us that had them. But
Yeah, what does it look like to import something into there?
that's what we don't. But the thing is, we didn't have to go through the process, so we don't really know.
Because it was already there.
It's just done, and they just wanted everything done.
Huh.
So, like, they paid for all these cars to come over, and they waived all these. They had all these, like, regulations that you can't modify an engine there, and so there's all these things that they waived. So they're like, if you buy a car here, you can drive it on the street tomorrow, no questions asked. Otherwise, you'd be, like, in violation of some laws.
Crazy.
So
Wild.
it was a good experience, but it just
Sounds like a mind-blowing experience.
It really was.
It seems so unreal.
I mean, to be, like, within a stone's throw of, like, Iraq and Iran, and you're on the Persian Gulf. I mean, you're right there. So it was just kind of wild to see, what was happening there.
Is that the farthest you've ever been away from home?
I mean, I've been to Europe before. You've traveled to Asia for work. But that just felt, like the furthest.
It hits a little bit differently when
feels farther.
When you look around and
you fly 15 hours and you land in that space.
15, 16-hour flight to, like, literally just the desert. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Huh.
But it's cool.
Well, I'm glad you made it back.
Yeah, us too. We're happy to be back.
Well, give me the kind of the overview of where you see kind of things going. Is there like now that it's a thing, is there like a underlying vision of, like, we want to do this many units and my dad will tell me I can do 20 times more? Or is there a plan at all, or is it just like hey, we're gonna keep doing what we're doing and see where it goes?
Like, what, like, technical advancements that you're gonna look at, like, even if
that's the crossroads that we're at. I mean, it's like, we're at a piece where we're developing some new, like, accessories. It's easy to accessorize. Like, we have some drawers and just simple stuff internally, because it's just it's a blank canvas on the inside. And so we see a lot of, like, specialty applications in different industries that come up. So it's like being agile enough to meet those needs. So figuring that stuff out. So it's like we're working with some, like, one professional baseball team that has a specific application for, like, sunflower seeds and bubble gum.
Yeah.
No, I mean, not joking. Like, it's
helmet storage, sunflower seeds, and bubble gum.
Yeah. So
wow.
So we're trying to, like,
So you're gonna make a dispenser? Or you just like
exactly. But they want to save space, and they're like, your product makes sense for us. So again, that requires some customization and doing some stuff. So
I bet your engineer
that's what
side is like. And he's super pumped about that.
He's got that, and so that's the cool thing. We've implemented some, like, workbenches to attach on the side that kind of, and then the more that we work in, like, motorsports and automotive, like, we hear the needs for, like, specific pieces that, we can make changes to our product and that can help them. And then even on the residential side, like, interior spaces are fun to explore.
Yeah.
Like, we've been talking about that. And so, part of us is like, yeah, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing and grinding away and with our head down. But at the same time, it's like eventually you have to make the decision to like pick it up, figure out, take some risks and hire some people. And that's where we're at. It's the hardest thing. And it's just tough. It's a tough, that growth is what you want and what you hope for and what you desire. But then at the same time,
it's the hardest part.
It's so hard.
Because you don't become a salesman anymore. You become a boss and a leader in the HR department. And, you become...
You do.
Then everybody's coming to you like, what's our pay scale? What's our time off look like? And you're like, I don't know.
We don't know.
We just work.
Yeah, we don't know. Like, we paid your insurance. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
No, it's like the same... Like, it's so... You don't envision those things, and I think that's the biggest growing pain. It's just like, because it is, you don't ever expect to have those conversations, and they just all of a sudden they're there.
Yep.
And so it's awesome though. I think we're moving in the right path, but yeah, you don't sign up to be the HR person for sure. So.
What does pay time off look like?
Yeah. Well, yeah,
I don't know. I've never taken time off. I don't know what that means.
That was like it's kind of like the laziness in me, but also like what my biggest pitch, like even to Matt, was like, yeah, we're super flexible. Pay to unlimited vacation. That's all, you get it all. Yeah. So use as you
just
want.
Don't disappear for like 6 months.
Exactly.
As long as you're here every
don't
day,
test. Don't test it. Don't test it.
Exactly.
But no, I think that's it's the fun thing, and you quickly realize like those are the things that you have to push through to grow. But it's we're still staying super small, and that's kind of our goal, to stay as lean as possible, but at the same time that it gets pretty hard.
What do you, from an outside perspective, like what do you like, how do you see the company kind of advancing? It's like what your part of it is.
I think there's two different, I kind of view it in two different lanes, and it's stuff that we talk about quite often. I think one is, and especially what Ryan worked through and talked through in terms of those really personal connections that he's made early on across multiple different industries, of really just people doing stuff that you're passionate about, the fun, cool stuff. I think that's one where that'll add a lot of value, and you'll see a lot of growth from that. But I also think there's this second lane of where that brand, which is the most exciting, as excited as you can get about shelves, it's the most exciting thing about Levrack, the product itself, is that with that relentless focus on the customer experience and the brand recognition, and just what is Levrack and who is Levrack involved with, there's certain segments where that brand matters. There's other segments where the brand doesn't matter, but the product itself has proven itself functional and efficient, and like it serves a core purpose that spans across any and every industry where space matters, and space comes at a premium, so you got to take care of it. So I think it's that development of that second lane where you can start leveraging some of the broader distribution companies, material handling companies that are out pushing a lot of product across a lot of different industries, that the brand itself doesn't matter, but in some ways it matters and that first lane that you're in with, where that brand development becomes that much more important, because you can keep running with that first lane internally, keep that in-house, keep that super close, while then still allowing to kind of push that scalable growth outside of that first lane, if that makes sense. So those are the two parallel
supports the fun
pieces
stuff
that I see. So you can go keep surfing in LA or Long Beach, wherever you want to go to do what you need to do. But
for sure,
that's what keeps you guys unique and what makes you guys what you are. You're just so rad.
I'll appreciate that. I mean, again, like I said, it's not people are like, this is so cool. I'm like, it's a shelf. Like, it's a shelf.
Do you want to just just slow down? Like, let's slow down.
That's so nice.
Too excited about it.
It is.
Like, staying organized is so sick.
It is. I feel like I've had to try so hard to be cool my entire life, and now like a shelf is just stealing that.
The shelf's done, dude.
Not what you thought.
No, it's just like it just slides right in, and it's cool already. So, but no, it really is just a fun. It's been just a fun ride, and to bring, to be able to, like you said, the relationships I think that with any like business that you start, even probably what you do. I mean, the relationships that you make and that you build through what you do, through what you like to do, are like the most valuable thing of all. I mean, I think that's, if we don't make any money, I mean, I'd like to keep paying Matt, but like just any money at all, like that's the coolest thing. Like we still got to interact with some really cool people.
Absolutely.
So
Sold 2 units in Saudi Arabia.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Was it
exactly.
only 2 days?
There?
Yeah.
Oh no, it was a long. That's another thing. Like God bless this business that put it on, but like it was a 5 or 6 day long trade. Like
Oh
expo.
my goodness.
I mean, I've never been.
SEMA
was 3 days.
Yeah.
Like this was unreal.
Yeah.
And I mean, they had everybody. They had like chip. So, side story. We don't have time. You can cut this. But there was like we're sitting in our booth, right? We have like these guys. I don't think have ever put on a trade show before. So we have like this whole like tent basically, and we're sitting in our booth.
So it wasn't like a convention center. It was outside.
All tents. Like it was all tents, and it was cold. I didn't bring a coat. Because I thought we were
in the desert.
In the desert, it's gonna be hot.
It's
Bring my swim trunks.
40 degrees at night. I mean, 60 for a high. It was cold the whole time. Rain.
Where'd you guys stay?
At a hotel. At a hotel.
In the tent.
In the tent.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Like, what if you just got thrown into it? It's like,
what'd
you at this expo? Not gonna give you this place to stay.
No, they did. Like, we didn't have the nicest.
Like some Fire Fest thing.
So that was the term that we used a lot of the whole thing. Like, this is we joked about it beforehand. We're like, this could be Fire Fest too.
I mean, because like, what did you like think when you got like reached out to?
We were like, wow, that's cool. Like, we're gonna. Yeah, there was some hesitancy, but then it was like, no, all these people are going, and they're gonna break.
Ja Rule's there.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah. So like, the first we weren't sure on the legitimacy of it. Like we were like, it's pretty good. And then when we were in Los Angeles, that's the thing. So we were at West Coast Customs, which if you're a child of the 90s, you'd watch Pimp My Ride a lot. And so that's another one we forgot to mention. But like we were hanging out with those guys at West Coast Customs, putting a Levrack in, like looking at Kylie Jenner's car and
Justin
stuff.
Bieber's
wrapped Lamborghini and stuff. So I was like, and we're there with a shelf, and Ryan from West Coast Ryan thinks it's like the coolest thing in the world. We're like, whatever, man.
It's a shelf, guys.
Awesome. It's a shelf. But coolest guys. So they were after we said, hey, we're actually going to Saudi, and they're like, you're going? We're like, we're going. Okay, cool. So there's some
legitimacy to it, yeah.
And then our other, like Richard and all those guys sent cars. So there was like this huge buildup, right? So we're like, okay, it can't be too bad. And then when you get there, like the 4th day of the show, they were still like building the place.
Oh no!
Yeah, literally welding pieces of the tent that was just going to be housed by all the exhibitors.
So it is.
Yeah, and they had some challenges. Yeah, they were faced with some pretty, I think, just like being able to say, "Hey, we're putting on this expo." Nobody knew how to do that.
Yeah,
and so because it's just such a closed. I mean, they like their stuff, but it was just one of those things that wasn't. So, but yeah, so it was like the first couple of days. There were some days that were just really slow, and so we're in a tent. It's like our little Levrack booth, our guys. And then like Chip Foose, and then Dave Kindig from Bitchin' Rides, and then like Chris Jacobs, and like around the corner is like Richard Rawlings, and everybody's just like sitting there. Nobody's talking to them. Like you can walk. We walked.
The good networking opportunity.
Absolutely. That's what we got out of it. It's like we had access to everybody. Chip Foose is using our power tools to tighten up his doors on his little rat rod that he had there, and so just those things are like we could fly 15 hours to do that. You know, just those opportunities. Goldberg is hanging out around the corner, so just like and then West Coast Customs, like being able to talk.
This
to
just
them.
sounds like a weird dream.
It was kind of bizarre. Because there were certain times where like you look across and Chip Foose is like leaning back in his chair like this, and like you're just like, what is going on? It is. It's like a green. And so they're gonna have I think they might have a hard time getting people to go back. But their plan is to do it again. We probably won't. Yeah. Maybe be there. Probably not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe 4 units.
We'll see.
But just a wild place. I mean, they had the whole like Ferrari F1 team there, and they were just ripping around the track.
No.
I mean, it was stuff that in like here you would pay an insane amount of money for the access,
Yeah.
but there it was just
Normal.
and they thought all these guys were gonna spend a ton of money, and it just didn't happen.
Maybe they're just like seeing till next year.
Maybe they're just gonna. So everything that went out of a port in Louisiana too, like all these guys that shipped cars, all got damaged. There's probably like a quarter of the vehicles got beat up. So
No.
And half the booth didn't show up till Sunday. It was. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Firefest was not far off the
Not a far
radar.
descriptor. Yeah,
No,
it could be close.
It wasn't.
So we have a question that we ask all of our guests, and we'll kind of wrap up here. Not unless you have any other questions.
No, I was just adding to the whole Firefest thing. It was like just the more of like everything like you kept adding to the equation was just like a cloud like popping up in a situation that like I have no idea how to visualize. It's like the F1 team's just like ripping around.
They got them.
The other one that's going to be there was a Hot Wheel. So in this big track that they had, so it was the Hot Wheel loop-de-loop.
Oh, like the actual car.
Actual car, a full-size Hot Wheel big orange loop-de-loop that these Ferraris were racing around, and I think it was once a night for 3 of the nights. They'd run I don't know what car
like
it was,
SUV
but
or something.
it's like a little Audi Q5 or Q7 that would they literally looped the loop of the loop-de-loop. And I mean, it was
this is unreal.
another one of those clouds that you can plant in your mind.
Like they had the, I don't know
What
if
in the
magical,
world?
Like I keep thinking, like the Hoonigans. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
Yes,
They were all of those
You're
guys
just-
were there.
you
Like
have
Ken
to,
Block
like-
was there just drifting
Ken
around.
Block wasn't there, but like Mr. Zachary on Instagram. Like, that sounded weird. I don't know the actual name. But like their whole team, like their whole drift team was there. And so like on the plane, we flew over with those guys and got to know them, and just like they had everyone there.
Man, how many
That's
millions
insane.
of dollars did they
I bet they
spend
spent
on that?
$500 million probably.
Like,
no joke.
You have to send us the
Holy
details
cow.
of what this thing
I
is,
will.
so I can like
Well,
actually.
maybe we can sign
get it
them up
clear
next year. They can
Yeah.
go. They can come along.
There you go. Absolutely.
We can do a link
I'll
podcast in
sell
Saudi
some
Arabia.
shells.
Seriously, I mean, they did not. They didn't cut anything. I mean, they put. It was a good effort. It was a good effort.
It sounds like
But
it.
what they
I mean,
had-
if they would have done that here, it would have been jam packed.
Yeah.
Of
No,
people.
it was. It was well. I mean, it was well thought out, well put on. I just don't think they had any idea of. I don't think they had any idea of what to expect from attendance from the people. They sold out. Initially, they were like, we sold 200,000 tickets, and we stopped because we didn't want to sell anymore because that was too many. It was full every night.
Mm-hmm.
Their times are just different too. It was like 4 to midnight. So like we didn't do anything all day, and it was bizarre. It was still in a
You get
weird
2 hours
state.
of sleep the night before, and you wake up.
Wake up, not know what to do.
Yeah.
It was
Crazy.
Like, it was like Groundhog Day.
Huh.
Like every day, same thing.
Wild.
But it's fun.
Are you gonna roll into
Well,
that question?
Yeah, we asked this of all of our guests, or that's what we started doing.
Yeah.
What was a time that you've never laughed harder? Like, what was like a thing where you like in
man.
either in business or in just life in general, like where you can like point to and be like, I don't think I've ever laughed
That's
this
a
hard.
very good question. Like I have actually a really good one that's most recent on my mind that happened actually in Saudi Arabia.
Perfect.
And it was, so we get in late to our hotel, and we're like underwhelmed already with, we're supposed to, all the conference calls I was on, like, these nicest hotels that we're hotel snobs, the guy said. These are the nicest hotels that I've ever seen. So all the whole time I'm like, hey, at least if it sucks, we have a nice hotel. We get an email that says, oh, we've been moved from the Fairmont to the Marriott airport. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't sound great already. So we get moved there, and we're staying there. We get up. It's not bad. Like, it's not terrible. We're like, this is okay. So we get there, like, hey, we have is smoking rooms. Is that okay? I'm like, well, not really. Like, I don't want to spend a week in a smoking room. Like, I'll smoke a cigarette,
it's
but I don't
never
want to sleep in.
Yeah.
But so we go in. They're like, well, give us an hour. We'll have a room open up. And it's like 1:30 in the morning. We're like, how is there a room going to open up in an hour?
They charge by the hour.
Yeah. So we all said, yeah, that's fine. Give us an hour. So we ate. They still had food somehow, so we ate. So AJ, I go down my room. I swear there's still smoke like in my room. So I go
Somebody's
down.
smoking in your
room. I was
room.
like, there has to be somewhere else I can sleep. Are you sure? So I go back down at like 2, and then I see AJ standing down there, and he's like, "What are you doing down here?" I was like, "Well, I'm trying to get another room." I was like, "What are you doing down here?" He's like, "Well, there was a guy sleeping in my bed." So at this point, I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? So I'm at the front desk with him, and he tells the guy, this Arabic guy, he's like, hey, I have a problem. He's like, I just got done telling the guy that I have a problem because my room's too smoky, and he's like, I have a problem too. It's like, there was a guy sleeping in my room, and he goes, what's your name? And AJ tells him his name, he types it in. He goes, what's your room number? He tells him, he's like, yeah, you're sleeping in your room. He's like, it's you. And he goes,
what?
He's like, no, there's another guy sleeping in my bed. And the guy's face just like drops. I mean, he just goes, and we just lost it. We were laughing so hard. It's funny.
So what happened?
Do you know who the guy was?
No idea. So he went down, and that guy's face went from like a smile, like, yeah, you, to just like drop down.
Like he was trying to joke with him, like he was just being smart.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he's like, no. And then their faces just went, and they were just like typing away. Found another room real quick, but it was just so funny.
Wait, so did they?
He was just.
So did he like check into his room and he was like, "There's a guy here"?
He went in. He was in the room.
Saw the shoes.
Shut the door. Like
yeah.
It had a thing where you put the key in and the lights turned on.
Uh-huh.
Lights kicked on. Walks in. Like goes in the bathroom. Whirls around the corner and. His words that got me is like all I saw was a bare back in the bed.
Oh,
and we lost it. I was laughing. I couldn't stop. So funny.
That's amazing.
So that's my most recent.
Oh my word!
I gotta second that. That was one of my most recent as well.
Did you hear it the next day then?
Yeah,
Because you got a
we
decent
were all
room.
up because
we were all still awake.
Our deadbolts were broke. Like I was like, I didn't feel safe. After that, I was like, who's gonna walk in my room?
Ryan texted.
Who's sleeping with me tonight?
Ryan texted a picture of his hotel chair from his room actually shoved against his door because the deadbolt was broken, and
That was
slight concern around the.
That was our best.
You're Nebraska boys, you'll be
stuff.
fine.
Yeah.
Universal key cards. Just
Exactly. Well, I didn't even. Yeah, I went down to get a new key one time, and she just asked for my room number. It's like I could have went into any. I could set any number on it.
The presidential suite.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. So no, it was fun.
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
funny. Well, hardest I've laughed in a really long time.
Yeah.
gosh,
You got one, or are you sticking with that?
I gotta stick with that one. I think.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I gotta stick with that one. I
We
think.
died. It was hard. It was good.
It was good.
That's
So.
great.
That's an insane experience. My mind's blown. Yeah, if you guys have an extra,
Oh, we'll bring you along.
yeah, I'll sleep on the door so that we can open it.
No, it'd be fun actually. I don't know if I'll be there, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on here.
Yeah, thank you.
It's great to meet you guys.
for sure.
Too,
Thanks for doing what you do.
for sure.
And,
Even though you guys are like, oh, we're just shelved guys. Like, that's sick. Being
I
organized
appreciate
is
that.
so important.
It is important.
it's very important. And,
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Because I'm so
OCD.
unorganized, I'm just imagining. Because, like, one, it's, like, kind of nostalgic of the fact, like, my mom used to work in the hospital, and so, like, there's just, like, the weird record halls, and you could just, like, go to the end and, like, not hear anything at the other end for some reason. Because it's just, they're, like, soundproof.
For sure.
And so,
Because it's just paper.
yeah,
It's just insulation.
installation.
It's cool. No, it really is. We meet a lot of people that are just like really into organization. That's what's fun because you walk in, we're still not organized.
Have you
I'm not
DM'd
organized
what's her
at all.
name on Netflix?
What is her name?
Marie Kondo or something
yeah,
like that.
Marie Kondo.
Marie Kondo. Yeah, whatever.
No, the one that lets you
Yeah.
thank all your stuff before you
Yeah.
give it away. You're like appreciative about everything. Marie Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
whatever her
we
name is.
butchered it,
Yeah.
but
We should
Marie Kondo.
send her a DM and
Sorry.
see.
Yeah,
There's your
she'd
interior.
love it.
There's
Yeah.
your interior
She'd love it.
organization.
We'll work it into a space of one of your projects sometimes.
Yes.
We should do it.
Let's do it.
We'll do
Does
some
she
customs.
listen? Should we shout?
No,
shout
I'm sure
directly
she
to her?
listens.
probably does.
Correct us if you're listening. On how to what's your name?
You're gonna need a lot of that.
Cool.
So,
Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
been really fun.